Joining us now, junkscience.com founder and Trump EPA transition team member, Steve Milloy. Hi, Steve. So what's your reaction to this story?
Well, Jackie and Guy, thanks for having me. Yeah, so this is to be expected. First of all, these wind turbine blades, they were defective, obviously, but the company that made them, I believe it's Siemens, has had problems with defective blades in the past. They took a multi-billion-dollar loss last year because of defective blades. But, looking at all the wind turbines, onshore, offshore, they're all just monuments to government corruption.
Yeah.
The offshore ones are monuments to the corruption of Joe Biden, Joe Manchin, and Bill Gates, who cut a dirty deal to get all that Inflation Reduction Act money for offshore wind.
So in a past life, Steve, I covered energy. I've been to every solar field, wind turbine facility, all of this stuff. I've dug into it. And the most interesting thing about the turbines is, and the solar energy for that matter too, we don't have the battery power to be able to take that and store that energy. So really whatever they produce gets wasted. And on the days that it's not windy, then you can't trust them to bring energy. That's point number one. Point number two, I still don't believe that in New Jersey specifically, for example, when they were installing some of these wind turbines, they weren't killing wildlife in the ocean with it as well. I mean, there are so many downsides right now to what is going on with the turbines. Why don't they just stop? Stop for now until you've perfected the technology, and then you can move forward.
Well, because there's $369 billion worth of Inflation Reduction Act money. And you're right about the whales. We have the receipts. I have the permits from the Biden administration. The Biden administration is all up in arms about the endangered right whale. Well, the Biden administration has permitted the offshore wind industry to kill twice as many right whales as are thought to exist. Permits routinely allow for the taking of thousands of porpoises, seals, and dolphins. The public doesn't know anything about this. The government denies that the offshore wind turbines are harming marine life, but of course it's right there in the permits.
Steve, there's this clip going around of Kamala Harris when she was last running for president. She was asked questions at an environment and energy type forum. And one of the questions was, would you ban offshore drilling? And just the immediate breezy answer was, oh, yes, of course. She said the same thing about fracking. So we're talking about offshore wind turbines. When it comes to offshore drillings, based on her own words, she's a hard no.
Yeah. Well, I'm not aware of any offshore drilling killing all those whales. Look, this wind stuff makes no sense. It's bad for the environment. If it's not killing whales offshore, it's killing eagles and rare birds and birds of prey, onshore bats. Onshore wind turbines dry out the lands. It's bad for the environment. It's not improving the climate or the weather as sold. Yeah. They just make electricity more expensive. Offshore wind is the most expensive type of electricity you can get. It's just a disaster all around. It's only the product of corruption. There's no market for this stuff.
Yeah, what's interesting, though, is they're pushing it the same way they pushed EVs. EVs didn't work with consumers. Neither is this. Steve, when I went to Block Island, Rhode Island, I did a story on wind farms there. What was also interesting was most of the elites who had those beachfront homes, oceanfront views, they didn't want the turbines blocking their view. I mean, the hypocrisy here is amazing, too.
Right. You can't see any wind turbines from where Barack Obama lives. The Kennedys fought long and hard, but eventually lost. But generally speaking, people don't want to see these things from offshore. If they don't want to see oil rigs, they're not going to want to see windmills either.
Yeah, it's just remarkable. But they're still spending money on it no matter what. Just your final thought on this in the last 15 seconds we have left.
Well, it's not they're spending money on it. We are. We borrowed money from China to build these things. We're going to be paying higher electricity prices. They're going to be killing whales and birds and what have you. It's just a disaster all the way around. They have no benefit. It's just total corruption.
Yeah, and it's our money. That's such an important point. Steve Milloy, thank you so much. And Jackie, it reminds me in the NIMBYism of these people. You send illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Nope, right. They don't want that.
Same thing.
They don't want the wind turbines spoiling their view in Nantucket. Speaks for itself.
And you can bet that Kamala Harris will continue pushing these projects. She has green on the mind and the agenda. All right, that does it for us. So fun to be here tonight. Great to be with you, Guy.
See you tomorrow.